So, in this presentation, I have tried to, put the information in that way in which usually it is not being presented by media, or it is not being analyzed in this manner. So we all know that what is the importance of animal husbandry in the overall agriculture with respect to uh, food security and food supply. Now, if we revisit the definition of food security, it is a well accepted definition of food security by FAO also, is a situation that exists when all people at all times. That is very important, all people at all times, because of the fact that recently a figure has come out that around 81 crore people throughout the world, they sleep hungry. So against that information, this all people at all time have physical, social, and economic access. That is again a very important thing, that not only physical access but social means the as per the social customs or social requirement of that particular population, and economic access means it should be accessible as per the economy of the people. And that's why the poverty line has been defined by all world agencies including FAO, those are considered below poverty line whose income is less than $2 per day. Access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, which meets their dietary needs and food preferences. Here, later on, we will see what the particular phrase "food preferences" it has been why it has been included for an active and healthy life. So this is what food security is, and we are all looking and striving on our end from our proficiency to try that the word is kept in a state of food security. Now again, looking to the same definition through the 6 dimensions, the agency stability. Stability is a short term, stability of or food stability is a short term, and sustainability is a long term, as we all know. Then access, availability, and utilization. So this definition has been put into the agency means usually it refers to the government agency whose responsibility is that to all people. Stability at all times, stability and sustainability. Access means physical, social, and economic access. Availability means sufficient in quantity. And utilization means safe and nutritious and meeting the dietary needs. And again, it is the agency's responsibility to see that the food is available as per food preferences for an active and healthy life. Now, if you see what is the scenario of global food requirement. Now, presently, the population 7 billion, around little more than 7 billion, it has been estimated. But then by 2050, it has been estimated that it will reach to around 10 billion. Now, then we will be facing the challenge that 60% more food will be required. Now, this is why it is so, because if we see that the population increase is not 60%, from 7 billion to 10 billion, it is around 40% of increase, but the requirement will be 60%. That means at least 20% population still is such population which is not getting complete food, or the required food as per the food security definition we have considered earlier. Then the another big challenge will be that we will be requiring 30% more water. And we know, and we will see further, that what is the condition of water in India. It's already in shortage, and it will be required 30% more. So we need to have the water conservation type of agriculture or practices, or need to consider water productivity. Then from production to consumption, there is a estimated 30% loss. So this is a very big loss, which includes post-harvest losses. Even the food wastage also is included in it. So this is very, very, a scaring figure that, we have to reduce this 30%. If we reduce 30%, that means 30% more food will be available. And then what will be the effect or the pressures on farming? One pressure we have seen that more food production we will have to, and then continuously the availability of water is reducing. Continuously the availability of land is reducing for agriculture. And then now we have started saying that the agriculture should be sustainable to the environment. And then the climate change, its bad effects primarily are affecting the productivity. And then the food preferences, changes in food preferences, we will see what changes. Even the NSSO has observed these changes around 10 years back in Indian rural as well as urban families also. So these will be the pressures. Now, what is agriculture today in India? We have seen the condition of begging bowl or from ship to mouth. From that stage, we have come to a self-sufficiency for 138 crore people of India. Then from food importing country, now we have become the 7th food exporter in the world, and around 4,000 crore dollar export is there. In the weight terms, it is 20 million ton of food grain we are exporting as on today. And recently you might have felt a proud situation when Honorable Prime Minister offered that India offered the word that India is in a position to fulfill the need of those countries who are suffering from food grain deficiency. And then 56.6% population is dependent on agriculture. And this figure 14.6 crore farm holdings. I will request all the audience to please remember this. This will be repeated again. The total farm holdings, that indicates that around 15 crore families are dependent on farming. And out of 138 crore population, it is estimated that we are having around 30 crores of total families in the country. So it is roughly half of the family. They are having farm holdings in one or the other way. And 86% of farmers are smallholders, which have less than 2 hectares. Now, this is again a definition of smallholders, which we will see that it may be inappropriate to define those farmers who are having less than 2 hectares as smallholders, because a very large chunk of farmers, they are having a holding of less than 0.6 hectares. Then the total GVA gross value addition from agriculture has been estimated. These figures are from a recent economic survey put up by Government of India in the Parliament just before the budget. So it is 20 lakh crores. Although to me it appears that this figure is too less an assessment of the total GVA of agriculture, because of the fact that we are very often saying that milk alone contributes to around 8 lakh crore rupees value. And if we see it against the total budget of the country, which is around 35 lakh crores. So a sizable amount of GVA contribution is from agriculture itself. And in the production of food grain, we have seen 6 times improvement from 1951 till last year, 50 million tons to 303 million tons. Similar is the in the horticultural production, including your both vegetable and fruits, 330 million tons. Now the poverty, removal program. In 1951, it was estimated that 70% of the population is below poverty line, and now the recent data, they indicate that it is less than 14%, 13.4%. So the very significant, progress has been done on this front. Then the buffer stock of food grain, we have reached last year 100 million ton. So we see that against 303 million ton of total food grain production, around 1/3 is our buffer stock, and that is the biggest strength we have seen during COVID. Also, India was, India's position was commended by the world. Even you might have come across the article in the newspaper, The Hindu, by Tomio Sicheri, who is the country head of FAO, that India is one country among developing countries, which the only country which could maintain food supply through its public distribution system, PDS, to 80 crore families. So that was the very big achievement of the country. And the milk production, we see that from 20 million ton in 1951, we have reached to 210 million tons. Fish production from around 1 million ton to 13 million ton. So a significant progress from then to now in Indian agriculture has been done, and we all know that it is due to green, white, and blue revolutions, which have increased. And the highest increase, around 12 to 13 times, is in the fish production. In the milk production, it is around 20 times, 10 times. In the horticulture, it is around 6 times. In the food grain productions, it is around 6 times. In the reducing the poverty, it is we have reduced the poverty five times. And then buffer stock, it has been raised 5 times. And the export potential of food grain, we have achieved in the last financial year 20 million ton of food grain. We have developed the capacity to export food grain also. So this is all result of the 3 revolutions, major revolutions, which we now, if you see in the global perspective, what is the Indian agricultural commodities? I think we need to see these 2 columns only. That milk, we are producing around 21% of world's milk, and we are number 1 in milk production. In case of pulses, we are producing 31.5% of total world's pulses production. We are again number 1. Fruit, 12.7. We are number 2 after China in fruit and vegetable, in both the overall horticulture also. Then in groundnut, then sugarcane, we are there. And in the meat, actually, we are producing only 2% of world's meat. But even then, we are on the 6th number in the world. So now, if we see the growth indicators, the only thing in this table I want to emphasize is that the net sown area since 1970 to 71 to 2019-20, it has remained almost constant, 140 million hectares. So this is the alarming thing, that the net sown area has not increased. The gross cropped area is increased because of the more cropping intensity, what we call sowing the same land in 2 seasons or 3 seasons. So that's why it is we are very near to 1.5 of the cropping intensity, and that's why gross cropped area is there. So considering this and considering again the hard fact, which is also an alarming fact, that the average size of operational holdings has decreased from 2.28 from 7071 to 1.08 hectares in 2015-16. So it is ever reducing, and this is the figure which worries us, and we'll see it how this is affecting that the average operational holding size in the country is around 1 hectare. And as on today, after so many years of 2015-16, it must be less than, might have been less than 1 hectare. Now, the total area under farming fell from 159 million hectares from 2010-11 to 157 million hectares, whereas the net sown area is consistently 140 million hectare, as we have seen in the earlier table. The small and marginal farmers with less than 2 hectares of land account for 86.2% of all farmers in India. Now, you see, that means 86% of the farmers, they are having less than 2 hectares of land. Now, this is what I was telling, that the definition of small and marginal farmers having less than 2 hectares does not apply or seems to be fit for Indian farming conditions, because of the fact that we will see later on that there are many farmers, or most of the farmers, they are having less than 0.5 hectare or 0.6 hectare of land. But this 86% farmers, they are just owing 47% or less than 50% of the cropped area. Now, this is a very latest, this is 10th agricultural census figures. And out of 149 million farmers, which we have seen earlier, 126 million farmers, that means 84.5%, together owned about 74 million hectare of land, or an average holding of just 0.6 hectare each. So this is again a figure which we should mind, and we should note it very carefully, that 86%, 84.5%, around 85% of the farmers, they are holding an average land of less than 0.6 hectares. So that is the thing, that our benchmark should be 0.6 hectare rather than 2 hectares. And in comparison, if we see the semi-medium or medium land holding farmers, they owing the land between 2 to 10 hectares of land, they account for 13.2% of all farmers. Their number is 13.2% only, but they own 43% of crop area. So that means the small holders, they have less than 50% of the land, and around 50% of the land, they are with the medium land holding farmers between 2 to 10 hectares of land. So that's why I'm underlining those important figures which we should keep in mind, and these figures, they indicate the extent of agrarian crisis, which we will see in the next slide. Now, the economic survey of 21-22, which I was talking about, has been put up on the table of Parliament recently, just before the budget of next financial year. It was presented by Madam Nirmala Sitharamanji. In the last 2 years, it is as per the report that in the area of agriculture, the development has been very fast. Now, the agriculture has been identified as the biggest employer of workforce. That is one thing, and we will see that it has been substantiated by hard facts also, that still agriculture is the biggest employer for workforce. And the gross value addition, or GVA, The agriculture's contribution is around 20% or 18.8%. And this report says that animal husbandry, dairying, and fisheries uh, have been major directors of this overall development of agriculture. If you see the top line, this probably indicates very well that the development of agriculture has been regarded to animal husbandry, dairying, and fisheries. Now here in this table we see that how the growth rate is lowering down. It was due to COVID. It plummeted a little bit more. Otherwise, from 6.8 growth rate of 16-17 in 2021, it is around 3.9%. Now, in this graph, if you carefully notice the situation 10 years back, around 10 years back, 2002-3 to 18-19, the green indicates small and marginal farmers. That means less than 2 hectares of land. Their number is consistently increasing from 80% to 86%. They have increased. The medium farmers between 2 to 10 hectares, it was 9% and it has reduced to 5.8%. Similarly, the large farmers which are having more than 10 hectares of land, 0.5% to 0.1%. That indicates that the farmers which are in the top 2 category, they are consistently coming down to the green category or the small and marginal farmer category. So this is the alarm with the agriculture, that the land holdings are dividing, they are becoming smaller and smaller, and more people are falling into the small and marginal farmers category. Now, if we see the SAS report 2014 and 2021, now here my request will be to mind that the net receipt, the brown pie diagram portion, net receipt from cultivation in 2014 it was 48%, and in 2021 it has reduced to 37%. That means income from cultivation is reducing consistently. In last 7 years, it has reduced from 48% to 37%. Then you see the gray, net income from farming of animals. It was 12% in 2014. It has risen to 16% in 2021. So it is increasing. That means income from farming of animals is increasing. Income from cultivation is decreasing. Another important alarming point is the blue pie. Income from wage or salary, it was 32%. It has increased to 40%. So, and the third, which has appeared for the first time, income from leasing of land. It has reached to, although it is a very small percent, 1%, but it is still alarming, and we'll see why it is alarming in the next slide. So this diagram clearly indicates that the income from cultivation is reducing drastically. Income from farming of animals is increasing drastically. But a dangerous trend is that in more and more farmers, they are going to earn their wages as daily wages. So the income from wage or salary is also increasing. So probably it is the agrarian crisis which is there in the form of reducing the portion of income from cultivation, is forcing them to search for alternative income in the form of wages. Now, as I told earlier, that the water availability is going to be a big challenge. Now, the left side, these are graphs I could find the latest 2015 only. Now, the extremely high, above 100% extraction is there. It is the water stress, indicator graph, left graph, and very large part of northwest India, it falls under the darkest red color, extremely high, above 100%. That means more than 100% water extraction is there in these areas, and the picture is not very convenient in almost whole of the country, where more than 50% or 40% of water is extracted out. Uh, then if you see the right side graph, that indicates the stage of groundwater extraction. Now, Rajasthan is one where this extraction is more than 100%. And most of these area except the very few areas of northeastern states, most of the areas they are under stress for more than 40% or 70 to 100% category. So this also indicates that the underground water is already under stress. We are over extracting the water, and the basic water deficiency is there, which is depicted by the left side graph. So we are already under the crisis of water, and then how we are going to meet 2050's requirement, which will require 30% more water. Now, are the data indicating that there is a clear-cut inclination towards animal husbandry, particularly the small and marginal farmers, and is it more economically remunerative? Now, if you see the data from the country, now this is how the GVA contribution from crops and livestock, forestry and fishing has traveled from 2010 to 1920. In 1920, from crops, it is 10.7 lakh crore rupees, 5.2 from livestock. Forestry has reduced. The crops contribution has also reduced from 12.1 to 10.7, whereas livestock contribution has increased from 4 lakh crore to 5.2 lakh crores. Forestry and logging, it is also reducing. It is also reducing, almost constant, but 1.5 to 1.3 it has reduced. Fishing and aquaculture, it is increasing 0.8 to 1.2 lakh crores. And the total is around 20 lakh crores, as I have given figures earlier. 18 point something crore rupees is the total GVA from agriculture sector. Now, this graph is very, very important because of the fact that here we can see the land holding, wise classification of income. Now, the topmost bar is less than 0.1 hectare. Now, here if you see in blue color, this is the income from wages. So, in the small holders, the income from wages is more than 50%, 57, 59%. The income from non-farm business, it is 15%. from crop production, it is 15% in the topmost category of less than 0.01 hectare. But income from livestock is 18%. So it is more than from crops. Similarly, in the second, bar, horizontal bar, the income from crops, it is 14%, and from livestock, it is 17%. But in the holders of less than 1 hectare, 0.4 to 1 hectare, the income from agriculture has increased to 31% and 16%. And the average, national average, the last bottommost bar, is 40% from wages, 37% from agriculture, 15% from livestock, and 1% from fisheries, leasing out of land. Now, this 1%, the last, right hand side most, the portion of all these bars, if you see why I have said initially that it is the trend is alarming. If you see the smallest landholders, they are having they have now developed a tendency to lease out their land, whereas till now we were thinking that the larger landholders, they are leasing out the land, but this smaller holders leasing out the land is again a dangerous trend. And this is a growth chart from crops, from livestock, forestry, and fishing. So this is just to show that fishing is, or fishery is, another sector which is developing very fast, keeping a growth rate of 10% or more over the years 2016 to 1920. And livestock is also consistently having between 7 to 10%. But agriculture, overall, the crops, it is consistently getting down from 5.3 to 4%. So again, this is indicative of that the growth rate in livestock and fishery sector, it's more, and they are really pulling the average of overall agriculture up. Now, this we very well know, the 20th livestock census figures, and nothing much to explain here. But if we see it, there is increase in crossbred and indigenous female cattle, which has been very specifically defined in this census, 20th census only. Female cattle number is increasing. The number of crossbred female has risen from 33 million to 46.9 million or 47 million around, and it is 39% or 40% increase. It's a significant increase. The indigenous female cattle, they have also registered an increase of 10% from the last census. Then the number of milch animal has gone up by 6%. This is again a very significant, although this includes indigenous cattle, crossbred, exotic, as well as buffaloes. And the total number of indigenous cattle has gone down marginally, but this should be seen against the fact that the female cattle number has increased. So that definitely indicates a trend of the cattle holders to keep more of female or milk producing cattle. And the overall livestock population has increased from 512 to 535 or 36 million, mainly due to rise in sheep and goat population, and goat is main. Now, if we talk, I have just added this, we all know probably this, that how the increase in milk production has gone parallel to increase in AI. And that is why we are saying that this milk production increase is technology driven, not number driven, because of the fact that since 1951 the milk production has increased 1100%, and cattle has increased only 24%, buffalo 153%. So that is why we say that it is a technology driven increase in milk production, not the population driven. And this also graph shows that the productivity in case of indigenous cows, buffaloes, and crossbred cattle, it is also increasing consistently. Although I think we may face the very soon the new targets of Government of India, where they want that the average productivity should be around 4 times what the present is, or around maybe 8 or 10. Now again, this is a graph where the columns, they are indicating the milk production, and we know the Uttar Pradesh is the highest milk producing state, followed by Rajasthan. And Gujarat, which is very well known, but actually it is on the fourth number in total milk production. But the line indicates that per capita availability of milk, and there are 3 states which are having a milk availability of around 1000 grams per capita per day: Rajasthan, Haryana, and Punjab. Punjab is topping by around 1200 grams per capita per liter, and rest of the states we can see what is the status of per capita. And probably it seems that the national average, which is around 500 grams, 447 grams, Government of India may set a target of in next 25 years to have national average of around 1000 grams per capita per day. So this is again a 2012. I could not get a more earlier table, but then this shows a comparative status remains the same, that the highest productivity in case of lactation yield, Israel is topping with around 11,500 liters or kgs per lactation or per year, followed by US and Canada and France, falling between 5,000-6,000 to 8,000-9,000, and India is well below by 2012. Now it is said that we have crossed 2,000 liters mark in case of cattle as well as buffalo. No, this is what I was talking, that in the definition of food security, it was mentioned that food preferences should also be fulfilled. Now this table shows, although this is a 2012 NSSO surveys results, but it clearly indicates that the food preference towards food from animal origin is increasing in rural as well as urban Indian families. And around 26% expenditure on animal origin food is being done by rural families, and 27.5% by urban families. So that indicates that this preference is increasing. As the income of family is increasing, their food preference is shifting towards food from livestock origin. And that's what will be a challenge for all of us to make available. And a recent estimate I have come across that whereas the 60% total food will be required more by 2050, the food from animal origin will be required 70% more. So that is the word figure, and probably it will squarely apply to India also. Now, just a glimpse of what is Rajasthan. I have why I am providing this, because this is the only document which has been which is economic review 21-22, which was presented in the state assembly, put up on the table of state assembly just one day before the budget by the state government. Now, this has given this graph that, the from 2010 to 11, 12 to 21, 22, in 10 years, the contribution from, the livestock sector has risen almost 3 times, from 31,000 crore rupees to 90,000 crore rupees, and the growth rate is 11.20%. And there is marginal increase over 10 years in case of agriculture, from around 73,500 crore to 85,000 crore. So this is what is the status in the state of Rajasthan, where animal husbandry is very important indicator of support of economy. No, this is for the first time. This has happened in the country, in any state, for the first time, that the income from livestock has exceeded the income from crops. From crops, and this is the official document of government of Rajasthan, income from crops in agriculture was 45.94%, and from livestock 46.25%. Now, this is a trend which will be followed in other states. We have seen nationally also in the earlier slides that the income from livestock sector is increasing slowly and slowly, but this is first state probably in the country where the income from livestock has exceeded the income from crops. And this is just out of the total, what are the main products? 81% is the milk, and then the poultry and eggs around 6%, and 12% others. Now, what are the challenges, or how we have to be alert? Now, can we achieve the targets which are likely to be floated by Government of India? The productivity of animal from 2000 kg or liters to 8,000 liters. We have been using AI since last 25 years, but then we need to be very aggressive in AI. And then the indigenous cattle, the pastures and migration, this is one issue which was not allowing the increase in the and then now, because of the technologies provided by the institutes like IVRI, the SAUs, veterinary colleges, about balanced ration, the switching over of complete stall feeding, supplementation of mineral mixture, and better health care, as well as economic consideration. That is most important. That is leading to keeping of high yielding animals only. Or in Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, even in Rajasthan, we are having with the farmers cows having 4,000 to 5,000 liters yielding capacity. And it seems that with the use of assisted reproductive technologies, sorted sex semen use, we can achieve the target of having all milch animals more than 8,000 liters in next 25 years or a little more. Then again, we are having the another important thing is that the institutes of ICAR and SAUs, they need to be provided more budget in at least next 10 years, so that they can develop such animals which are yielding more than 8,000 liters. And the evidence is the Saiwal, Rathi, Tharparkar, Kankres, even the herds of Rajuas, where we have reached to around 5,000 liters in last 10 years. And in next 5 years, we can reach easily to the target of 8,000. Even in CIRB, there are more than 70 buffaloes having 3,000 liters of lactation yield, and 5 to 10 buffaloes, they are having more than 4,000 liters yield. And the peak yielder has been reported by CIRB in 2019, 23.5 liters per day. So these are the indicators that give us a confidence that in next 25 or 28 years, we can achieve this target. And similar is the target to have the 400% increase in the productivity. And third is the meat production, 300% increase in milk, meat production. So the two very important meat animals are with us: the buffaloes for meat purpose and goat for meat purpose. And the trend is increasing broiler buffaloes and broiler goat keeping in Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, and Rajasthan also. Goat keeping, broiler goat keeping is increasing day by day. And then the per capita availability of milk, 1 liter per day per head. So already we have reached around 500 grams. So I don't think that it will be difficult to have. Already 3 states have crossed 1,000 liter mark. So we can achieve this target in next 25 years. So this is what the economic survey 2021, which was presented in the parliament, that indicates that in the farming families, livestock sector has contributed more than 15% of share. Then by 2021, the milk availability has been estimated to 427 grams. And similarly, most of the data we have already, dealt with. So the important, things which will require more stress is that the production in livestock sector is resource driven as yet. So we need to convert it into demand driven. That is the major thing, which major shift in the trend which will be required. And from low input system, we will have to switch over to medium and high input system of animal husbandry. And whatever the large number of indigenous cattle is available with us, we need to be to have aggressive program for its improvement. And other indigenous livestock breeds, their productivity also we will have to increase, and we will have to increase the availability of feed fodder as well as green fodder also. Then health facilities and vaccines, their availability will have to be increased. Then marketing, facilitation of marketing of livestock products. And the last one is that the extension system will have to be very strong to carry new technologies to the livestock owners. Now, this is about just a slide to show that it has been estimated the deficiency of dry fodder to 11%, green fodder 35%, and concentrate 45%. So this is the very big scale that despite of so much crop residue available, we are still having the deficiency of dry fodder. And this is coupled with that only 4% of total agriculture land is spared for fodder, green fodder production. This is national figure. And for pasture, only we are having 3% of land of the country for pasture. So these two are again the restrictive things which hamper the availability of feed and fodder resources to the animals. So in the end, we can see that to have a secured and sustainable livestock production, we require good, policies and governance. Then new technologies, quick upscaling of new technologies, we have always been stressing, and sizable capital investment in the sector. This is, and then good livestock practices, incentives for those farmers who adopt good livestock practices. That is another, and then the investment from private sector, a huge investment from private sector will be required. Then the market reforms and the climate change. This all our effort should be towards protecting the environment or environment friendly, and then control of greenhouse gases, or what we have been talking that, and the world has also been talking that livestock sector is the major contributor. Although the next slide will show that cattle and other livestock are responsible for 1/7 of anthropogenic greenhouse gas emission, while the transport accounts for roughly 1/5. So whom to eliminate, livestock or the transport? So it has been said that more fiber the cows will eat, the methane production will be there. And yesterday only the animal nutrition division people, they were saying that adding legume and oil in the diet, they have reduced, it has been found by them. So with this, thank you so much for this presentation, and once again thanks to Director for giving me this opportunity for presenting this presentation. Thank you so much.